Hello everyone, it's Eddie Brock, Mike Levin, here to continue the series of search engine position monitoring, the building of the function for Pipulate. We don't need all that stuff because we have successfully taken a keyword from a keyword column. We don't really need this row here. Make it as easy to understand as possible. And we have gotten the first page of results against a Google Ajax Search API for both that keyword and that keyword. And it's in JSON format shoved into a cell in Google Spreadsheets. We need to extend this to get not just the first page of results shoved in there, but the first 8 pages of results. And this faces us with an interesting design question. Earlier in this video series, I switched from calling the JSON method of the response of the request object to using just text, so that it ended up as pure JSON in the Google Spreadsheets cell. But we're going to do some manipulations in which it will actually be much more easy to handle it as a native Python dictionary object. So I'm going to turn it back to that for now, but we're going to blend together this variable start parameter stepping logic that I created with the URL building logic. So basically, I unedit out this. I'm going to put a space between them so it differentiates in my mind. Let's see, Control V for visual, and delete. Okay. This part is going to remain unchanging. That's kind of the root URL. So that stays there. But the parameters are going to change on each iteration. So I put that inside the loop. And then I put in the actual parameter that's going to change, and it happens to be start. But it's got to be the string word start with a colon, and then start as the variable, because on each iteration it's going to get the next multiple of 8. And then the call to the API needs to be in there as well. That's this guy here. So now it suddenly becomes considerably more expensive, because it's going to make 8 calls instead of just the 1. So you're going to use up your quota against this API for this IP much more quickly, 8 times more quickly with this approach. The dictionary object is created once. To solve that with testing, I am going to make an internal control variable here called multiples. I'll just say times, how many times through. And we'll set it equal to 2, so at least we have multiple objects to look at in the return value. Now, 8 times n, I believe, still applies. All we want is for it to step, instead of from 0 to 8, from 0 to 1. That way it uses 0, start equals 0, and start equals 1. We'll have 2 objects now. And we're setting the return me value to pending start. Yeah, this doesn't apply anymore. That was the old way that we were returning stuff. In fact, that return doesn't apply anymore either. Although we do want the return me.text. Where was that? Nope, that wasn't either of those. Oh, it's response object.text that I'm thinking of. So, oh yeah, we're building a list. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we are calling return me, because we're going to still use a list for that outer object. It's still the most logical thing to do. We don't need key names for steps in the search results when the position in the list implies it. So it is return me.append response object dot JSON. And so by the time we're through this loop, we are going to have a native Python object, which is a list with nested dictionaries. And we'll just return that. That'll end up in the cell. We'll get the tiny little U's back in front of everything, but we'll convert it to JSON as the last step in this tutorial. Return me. And there will be a nice before and after here, because it'll be Python as opposed to JSON, and it should be double the length, which should be pretty easily visible in Google Spreadsheets. Ah, I made some error, but it will be visible here. See, the syntax shows. Syntax error, invalid syntax at the end of return me. Oh, ret run. That could do it, huh? Ret run. Return me. Get populating again. Refresh. Start populating. See if those question marks get replaced. Oh, getting some errors. Unbound local error. RESP object referred to before assignment. I can deal with that. Well, it should exist at this point. RESPOBJ. Return me.append. RESPOBJ. So it might mean that the fetch was not successful. The API value is getting set correctly. Let's see. First of all, this should have read times so that I can keep it variable. That was my first mistake, but that certainly wasn't the cause of this error. Restarting with stat. So it detected I made a change and tried to restart, but it's still not going to fix whatever this was. I should see an error in the original attempt to fetch that. Unbound local error response RESP for assignment 770. I don't think that's the one. Line 6 of functions.py, which is what I'm working on, which is the returning of the response object. Okay. This will be an interesting video if I decide to actually publish it, just really running up against something. So, it doesn't appear like this is actually working here, and the things that are different that were not different before is the start parameter. So I'm going to edit one of those for safekeeping. Get rid of these. And see if that call can be made now, if the response object can come into existence. There should have been another error generated here if that really was the problem. But let's execute the same exact command over and over. Yep, same thing. Invalid local error. Invalid local variable. Return response object JSON again. Okay, well, this is where we do some debugging. Instead of trying to populate it there, this is where the error is occurring. Let's do a version of that line where we're just appending foo. Should append foo twice, in fact. And it should be just a list that we get back going foo. So we'll scroll to the end. You can see the restart occurred. It's rather pleasant working in this environment, like having all this like incredible feedback from the server as it goes. People talking about, you know, debugging traces and stuff, but you can be on a very minimal platform and get a fair amount of debugging. You know, there's your trace route right there. So it's telling me everything I need to know to fix this error. It's going through the multiple tries it's going to do every time when it gets these kind of errors. So let's just fix it based on what it says. Unbound local error, local variable response object, reference before assignment. That can only mean one thing. Response object on line 6. Oh, true, something from all the way up there. That was one of those original pieces of code that needed to be taken out. How many of you were screaming and shouting at me? This would be an interesting and maybe even controversial video to keep intact because, what do you call it? True user stupidity error. Get back what we're supposed to get. First, valid tests. It's already a good sign. We can see the server still running. I didn't make any Python syntax errors. All this waiting. Small price to pay for free SERPs that live inside of Google Spreadsheets. This is going to be quite significant, especially after I get past this foundation building of SERPs and it's just the magic numbers and URLs that you're all looking for. There's a lot of retries going on in the background that I don't particularly like, and that's at an early spot in the thing. So I'm going to show you a trick here. If that happens, just close out of your prompt, open it again, and that will in fact interrupt and establish a whole new connection to the server, canceling out your last one, especially if you got a bad Google API connection. Connecting to G-data, connecting to Google Spreadsheets is sometimes like the weather. It's sometimes just bad weather. Okay, so there we have it, and look at that. That looks like it's about, is it twice Ooh, let's see how far this scrolls down. It scrolls down about that much, ending at, let's see, how can we tell? We need to tell what we're looking at. Photo gallery. So the photo gallery thing of that Mike Levin photographer is the bottom item in this list. Now if we go to the one next to it, this should be twice that much data. First of all, our visual clue is that it opens with a square bracket and not a curly bracket. So we in fact have what I think we have here, which is a list. Oh, photo gallery again. It does end there. I'm going to go to our prettifier. Oh no, I was on the right place. It was just the form was at the top of the page. Wow. Okay. Paste, process. Error. I copied the wrong thing, I bet. I get it all. Control A for all. Control C for copy. That's the output there. Ah, I got it. Paste. Yeah. Okay. Process. Probably it's because it's native Python. And we need a Python prettifier. Okay. There, we got our indents there. Not quite as easy to read as I might like. Ah, the thing is, if we see two status 200s. Nope, it's only one status 200 coming back. It does appear like I put things in a list properly, but I don't think both appends are working. So times from 0 to 1 it's going to try and do. And on each iteration, it should have a higher start number. The first time 0, the second time 1. Oh, okay, well no, that's correct. And we append the output of it each time. Let's just try a significantly larger number. No, I need to do it on 1. No reason to tie up the API. Also, there's this line wrapping stuff, so one of the interesting things to do might be to change line wrapping to chop it off at the end, so you know what you're looking at. Pipulate. Start pipulating. Boy, it's the name, which is the gift that keeps on giving. So that's the object it returned. You can already scroll it and sort of interact with it here before it even replaces the question mark there. In a pinch, if it can't do that insert, we could just copy it all from here. We don't even need to see the question mark get replaced. That's how pipulate works. You get to see the flow of the data, and you're going to see it's just the attempt to insert the row that went wrong. G-data timed out, the attempt to insert it. But I have it in my copy buffer, and I'm going to go back to the Python prettifier, paste that in, format the code. Yeah. Okay, you know what? Let's paste it in text edit. And that looks like 4 times the data. Let's see if we've got 4 of those response 200s. Let's see, edit. Option F for find. Yeah, okay, 200. Response status 200. See the 1. Oh, okay, there they are ghosted. 1, 2. Response status. Oh, what an ugly video this is going to be. But you can step through them. There it is. Yep, that is definitely more results getting sent back. And it's not the same ones every time, I don't think. You can look at response status 200 and then go back from there. Wilson's something is the one right above it. So let's see. That's the first one. We go back. No, I don't see that Wilson thing. Hit the next one. Nope. That's not one. That's not one. Response 200. Yeah. Yep, pediatrics. Yeah, okay. I'm thinking we got exactly what we want. This is field stuffed SERPs. Native Python. Do we keep it native Python even as it sits and lives in the Google spreadsheet? That is such a good question. For the sake of pulling it back out and speeding up these tutorials today, I'm going to keep this all native Python because it's just going to be easier to get through it today. I might switch it back to native JSON in the field stuffing, but I am not confident or sure I'm going to do that. It might end up better as native Python, but here's a way we can certainly be sure of before and after. I have something that we can easily tell the size of here, and I'm going to create another one. Brought up the font interface. I need to bring up the just a new page, option new, right? It'll be about the same size, so that when we scroll we can really compare a before and after. And that is saved. Now our instance of our browser is here, and okay, we can do a before and after this way by putting the same exact word in here, putting a question mark here, and manipulate. Well, that's not really going to be a before and after. Let me do that because it never really replaced this in the first place. We had that API error the last time, but still had it from here to copy, remember? I know some people would attack that as a weakness of the Pipulate system, but I call it a strength. If your data doesn't end up in Google Spreadsheets, what good is it anyway? It's just going to be lost on that one execution node instance that is meaningless, stuck on some free cloud server instance or some Raspberry Pi SD card you can overwrite. And get the data off your server. Put it somewhere where it's alive. Oh, a 403. Abuse. I don't know. But it's starting to not like what I'm doing. I believe I have exceeded the terms of use. I think that'll be a good spot to stop for now because it's going to make me wait for 10 or 15 minutes before I can run SERPs again. And then when it does let me, it's only going to let me do one every like 10 minutes or so, which is perfect for Pipulate because we can set it to do one keyword, say, per hour and get through a list of 30 keywords a week and still be spacing everything out nice and liberally. So thanks for joining me. Hope to talk to you soon, and don't forget to subscribe.